Leave the scene, you're ruining it. Leave the scene, you're ruining it. You sell out.
Dude. Is this from the new MGK album?
Yeah, dude, I've been listening to this on repeat. I don't know why I am so into it, but I've just, it's like, it is nostalgia candy, and I've just been in love. I've just been in love with this. I've genuinely been. I've never listened to an artist on repeat like this before, and it's genuinely concerning how much I like this. uh, Everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Project Khichdi, a show about topics from music or within the musical world that we like and we think you should know about. My name is Aditya,
And my name is Robin.
and yeah, we welcome you to the second episode. We have a fantastic show lined up for you today. But
Hey,
before,
oh, okay. No, I needed to make some things clear actually. Trigger warning for people who have high blood pressure because a lot of uh, I use the term pinch of salt very commonly according to a feedback we got from a
oh,
previous
that's a
episode.
that's a good starting point actually. Yeah, we're actually very. So I mean, I've both of us have shared the first episode with practically everybody we knew, like friends, family. Put it up on whatever WhatsApp status. I sound like a boomer right now, but yeah, WhatsApp WhatsApp status.
Yeah, dude. Might as well
Yeah,
join Facebook now.
honestly, not a bad idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we share this episode with all our friends and family, and we've gotten really positive feedback on the first episode, so we're really excited for this one, and we hope this one is just as good or better, hopefully. But yeah, we have a fantastic show lined up for you today. But just before we get into that, Robin, you actually have fantastic news for us, don't you? You recently bought a classical guitar. Would you like to tell us a bit
Ooh.
about that?
Okay, fine. So the story behind this is actually kind of funny. So I was this story goes a little way back in in the first semester, where I was preparing for one of the practical exams. You know pretty much about it. I needed subjects,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was
yeah.
frantically running around for subjects and all. And it was kind of late at night, and just before sleeping, and I was kind of stressed about. We were not allowed to use stopwatches, basically our phones and all that. We were supposed to use the mechanical stopwatches that people used way back in 1940s or something, for our experiments. So I needed to know how to use it. So that's why I looked up a tutorial video on it, and that tutorial video had some random classical guitar music playing in the background, and that really took me aback. Okay, I was like, God damn, this is so good. I really need to know what it is, what track it is. It was for everyone's reference, that track was Gentile, that is Genteel by an artist named Fiore, Fiore. And yeah, I just I really like that track. And in general, I have loved how nylon strings sound, and I am also a fingerstyle player, and it's just easier to do fingerstyle stuff on a nylon string guitar. And
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, no. Tell us about your brand new guitar. Have you named it? I've discovered this recently, which is I don't do this with my instruments, but apparently naming your instrument is a very important thing. I have been bashed by my friends constant times, numerous times for not having named my instrument. So Robin, have you named your instrument? And
Well, actually, I'm on the same boat as you.
oh,
I don't,
really?
but yeah, I don't name my instrument per se. It was just even that Yamraj thing that I came with for my black Yamaha guitar. It was just like a joke.
Oh my
I don't call my own guitar Yamraj, but it's a cool name. I mean, I was like, okay, fine. If y'all want some name for my guitar, then Yamraj is the name.
You
But
call, of all the names you could have thought of, you went with Yamraj. That is the
yeah,
most.
it translates to Grim Reaper. Okay, it's a black
Oh,
Yamaha.
that. Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
interesting. That's cool. That's a cool guitar name. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Um.
And it's like a scythe anyway. the sort of guitar slang. Actually, scythe is not the guitar slang. Axe is a guitar slang, but yeah, it kind of adds up.
Scythe is
But
that.
yeah, no,
It's a curved one, no? The curved
yeah, the one that the
pickaxe.
Grim Reapers actually have
Hey, that'll
to
make for a
harvest your soul.
fantastic gardening tool, no?
Yeah, but
Because it's like
the Grim Reaper
it's
uses it to harvest your soul.
ooh, yeah. Damn. Different kind of harvest season.
But yeah, nylon string, I am yet to name it. Yeah, actually, I'll name it only if I feel like. As of now, there are no names.
No, no,
Well, I mean, if you all have any suggestions, then
yeah,
just
I was just about to say, if you guys have any suggestions for names, and please don't come up with like some random, you know, like, please. I know like naming things is such a fashion today. I think a couple years back I read an article. And this is slightly a digression, but I read an article where somebody named their kid Facebook. And I don't know people treat their instruments like their kids, but please don't suggest Facebook. Hey guys, I got a new electric. I call it Facebook.
Yeah,
No, no, not happening.
that's like that other news article I heard about what? Some child named COVID in the pandemic.
It's like the parents are setting
Corona
them up
and COVID.
for just like
Being
you're
bullied.
Exactly. Poor kid. Oh god. Anyway, that's a complete digression from our topic today. But I think you probably, I don't know, you probably might already know what we're going to be talking about today, and it is Machine Gun Kelly. If you don't know who MGK is, he is a rapper. I mean, he was a rapper. Now he makes punk rock music, and it's this very fact that has made him such a controversial musician over the last year or two. It started with his release of, I think, was it tickets to my downfall. Sorry, which came out in 2020 during the pandemic, and then his follow-up album, which came out this year actually, which is called Mainstream Sellout. Both albums are like quintessential punk rock or pop rock, albums, and it's gotten, well, first off, it's very successful. It's done very, very well in the Billboard charts. But second off, it's also kind of spawned a lot of hatred towards MGK and some of the stuff he's done in the past, etc. And essentially, this episode is going to be the two of us kind of, looking at his entire career in kind of, a broad perspective, and then narrowing it down to this whole controversy and really kind of understanding why people are so, why people don't like his music, why they do like his music, like him as a person or don't like him as a person, and yeah, just really understand what's going on and give, the whole point of the idea, hopefully, is to give our hot take on the entire situation. So, without further ado,
And give like 2 cents of what we think about his music as well, which again I had warned y'all in the past. Take it with a pinch of salt.
yes, this should just be your signature, like, how every celebrity has like a thing they do or a thing they say. This should just be your thing. Take it with a pinch of salt, guys. It's not,
Take
it's
it with a pinch.
keeping it cash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's what
Yeah.
we're about.
Anyway, with that said, I think, let's get on to it. This is episode 2 of Project Khichdi. Alright, so just to sort of, so the way we're going to do this is basically we're going to go over his entire career, just like in a nutshell, and then also touch upon the controversy, and then kind of sort of from our perspective understand why he's sort of disliked and why he's sort of involved in all the controversy that he is, and give essentially, conclude with what we think or both of our perspectives, and it might be a bit of an interesting hot take. So yeah, I'll kickstart this one. So essentially, just to give you guys a quick sort of overview, Colson Baker, Machine Gun Kelly, that's his real name, Colson Baker. He's American. He's an American rapper. He's been in the industry. He's been doing this for I think, over a decade. It's his first debut. I think his national debut was in 2010, and it was a song called Alice in Wonderland. So not to be confused with the movie, but it's also somewhat related to the movie. I'm not too sure, but yeah, he sort of blew up nationally. Then he followed this up with his first ever studio album called Lace Up. Since then, he's had another four a couple more studio albums across the years, and then it's ended with Mainstream Seller, which is his latest album. Now, I mean, his music, if I were to sort of sum it up for you, is, I mean, yeah, it's rap, but it's not very minimalist. It's actually it's got a lot of production value, a lot of experimentation in terms of, piano, orchestral sounds, guitar. So I mean, and this is something we'll touch upon a little later, which is guitar is actually a much more prominent, featured instrument in his music than I think people may recognize or acknowledge. But yeah, guitar has been a big part of it. He's collaborated with a lot of artists, namely Halsey, Camila Cabello. Is it Camila Cabello or I don't honestly don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's just go with what
just
Cabello maybe.
Cabello. I honestly I don't know, but anyway, yeah. So Camila Cabello, Travis Barker from Blink 182. He's a very well known drummer and really great drummer that too. And yeah, I mean, so he's got several albums out. He's got a lot of music. He's done a lot of different work, and the controversy. Robin, do you want to start this one? I think between the both of us, you kind of got into looking at MGK from from the controversy itself, right? And then
Hey, come on. You're making me look like, I'm like following the tea, the gossip, and you're the one who is looking at the music.
let's be honest, okay? Between the both of us, before we did like a little bit of reading for the show, you had a lot more knowledge on the whole Eminem and MGK beef situation than I did.
Yeah, I did.
So
I mean, like, I kind of know about this since, like, we were at Flame, like, in 2018.
basically,
because-
you were keeping up with the tea. It's okay, admit it. It's fine. Everybody likes a bit of gossip in their life. So nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway,
So,
but yeah.
okay, from a pinch of salt to a bit of sugar, it seems. Enjoy this tea.
So bad.
So, so basically, this whole thing starts with MGK, like, sort of just, I don't know, he had very controversial kind of sort of views on, like, consent specifically, wherein, like, in interviews he has been, and now I hope that, like, these things have not been taken out of context, but, like, in interviews he has said things like, like, basically, in a sense, like, if a 17-year-old also consents, it's fine. Like, like, even in a relationship where, like, one party is 17-year-old and the other party is, like, an adult, so like a 22-year, 23-year-old, there's like, and if, like, they consent to having sex, then there's, like, basically nothing wrong with that. And he is, like, sort of unapologetic about this opinion that he has, which is messed up. Like, there's
Yeah,
no doubt about
it is creepy. It is obviously along the lines of pedophilia, and it's not at all okay. But he's so. I mean, I initially thought that okay, so the comments initially, or the most of the controversy comes with his beef with Eminem, obviously, right? In 2012,
Yeah.
he posted a tweet where and I won't say it on the podcast, but he essentially commented on Eminem's daughter's looks in a very vulgar way.
Yeah. And, like, I basically brought up this this, like, borderline pedophilic thing to contextualize this very beef, because, like, Eminem's daughter was 16
16
when
at the
that
time, exactly,
comment,
yeah.
when that comment was made.
So, like, she was very young, and MGK, just for context, at this time, I think is about 22 or 23 years old. So there is a considerable age gap between the two. So it is borderline pedophilic, and it's just not tasteful at all. And I think this is the starting point for the beef. Of course, nothing would happen until I think around 2015, where MGK, I think, following a series of interviews where he made similar comments like this about minor girls, right? He started to get his music stopped being played on a lot of radio stations in the US, I think across the globe also. And in an interview, or I think it was a diss, if I'm not wrong, it was a diss track, or it was a song with an artist called KPWR. I don't know really who that is, but I'm assuming another artist. He essentially briefly alluded to Eminem being somewhat responsible for the reason his music is not being played on radio, and this would be followed up with an explicit sort of, I won't call it an attack, but an explicit diss where he calls out Eminem. At the time, the song "Rap God" had come out by Eminem, which got really popular, and he referenced the song in one of his rap tracks. And essentially, this is, I guess, when Eminem came into the picture, and he essentially he dissed Eminem. He dissed Eminem dissed MGK in his surprise album, which was Kamikaze, which came out in 2018, and essentially he calls out MGK very, very clearly. Kelly, this the nickname or whatever he uses, and by this point, MGK obviously is convinced that he's being, his music is being restricted because of Eminem, and that's essentially where the controversy picks up. And then I don't know how much of the story is. I mean,
there's for the most part you've gotten it correct. There's something going on before as well. Like MGK would continuously sort of you were right about the whole alluding, like in his interviews and even in his shows, maybe if I'm not wrong, he would like sort of constantly make digs at
Eminem.
Not digs exactly, but rather like some accusations
Comments,
or something.
accusations,
and like the first track that came out was Not Alike by Eminem, but then there was like some directed towards MGK, and MGK went back with Rap Devil, and that's when Eminem, till after that you've basically narrated it all correctly.
Yeah,
like,
so I was just
Kill
about to
Shot.
get, so there was
Kill Shot,
So Kill Shot is the song that people consider, well, people, when I say people, I mean a lot of the internet considers to be the end of MGK's quote-unquote rap career, because after that, that's kind of after which, when MGK started writing pop punk, essentially, right? Before this, like Robin mentioned, MGK released Rap Devil, which is a diss at Rap God, the song by Eminem, the rap track by Eminem, and the response to that was Kill Shot, which ended, I wouldn't say ended things, but yeah, it tarnished whatever. I don't know how to say this. I mean, yeah, he kind of lost. I guess that's the ending, right?
I guess so. I mean, there's still like debate on that. I mean, the general consensus is that Eminem won. But like I've also seen articles where like there are some people who believe that MGK's disses were more creative in some ways.
Yeah, actually,
well, that's for the audience to decide, honestly. Like,
here's the thing. So that's actually interesting you brought that up, because when I heard, and this is 2018, so when I listened to this, I didn't know much about MGK other than, okay, he dissed Eminem. That's how I found out. And I listened to Rap Devil, and I liked it more than, I mean, as a song, I liked it more than Kill Shot. But yeah, I guess in the feud, situation, I think MGK is considered to be on the quote-unquote losing side. But the reason this is so relevant and is because both MGK and Eminem were at the time signed to Interscope Records. Now both of them are signed, okay? So there's actually, interestingly, there's actually a conspiracy theory, and this, I was so surprised to find this out, where people speculate that this whole feud between MGK and Eminem is actually staged. So there's actually, there's a whole, there's actually evidence for this. So I think the producer on both tracks, right, or on a lot of albums in for both Eminem and MGK, is actually the same. It's from somebody working at Interscope Records. So
nah, dude, I don't like this conspiracy theory. What the hell?
I think it's interesting. I think essentially, I mean, because if you think about it, if you look at the timeline between when the tweet, okay, not to say the tweet, okay, again, the tweet was, it's a stupid thing to say. Like, it's not at all nice, and it is borderline pedophilic. But, the tweet comes out in 2012, okay? The escalation of the feud happens 6 years later, right? And Eminem also himself, in an interview, I think after this whole controversy kind of picked up, he himself admits that the reason for him kind of making the diss track Kill Shot was less about, I mean, it obviously was about the comment on,
his daughter,
but it was also more, he says, and I'm quoting, it was more petty than that. Essentially, because MGK had assumed or had blamed Eminem for killing his career, that's kind of what pissed him off. So he was the whole diss track was a response to that. So yeah, there is a controversy, there is a conspiracy, over whether this entire, feud was constructed. I don't know the truth. I don't know honestly whether it was or not. It sounds like it was a genuine thing. I mean, because see, if you think about it, also the entire album Kamikaze, was such a surprise album. Nobody knew it was coming out. So it definitely sounds, and a lot of the a lot of the album, from what I remember he listening to, was was digs at kind of the state of rap, at certain people who've maybe paths with Eminem, and it's a lot of commentary on various different things, rappers and whatever, right? So it seems like it comes from a very honest place. It doesn't sound constructed in any way. But I don't know. I guess to the benefit of the doubt, to
There are like some other like third, what do you say, not exactly related to the feud, but like just like random trivia factors also that come into this feud, which is like they say that MGK, sort of invested on this track properly, he worked on this track. And Eminem apparently, now I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently Eminem wrote Kill Shot in 15 minutes, 1-5.
oh
Yeah,
damn.
so it's kind of like, so I don't know if this fact is true or not, but like it kind of like adds to the blow, so to speak, and like adds to the intensity of the blow that MGK got. Like kind of like Eminem truly is the OG. Like he could destroy you in 15 minutes. Like he didn't even have to think about it. Like he was kind of like has the same energy as Eminem was only using 1% of his true power, and like
Yeah.
you could like just yeah.
So they call the cavalry. The cavalry has destroyed.
And then like there's this whole lore that is made about I don't know, that like like that diss that Eminem came up with was so bad, was so debilitating, was so like career destroying or whatever, that like MGK had to change genres. Like the
Yeah.
assumption here is that MGK changed genres because Eminem basically like embarrassed him to the extent that he just cannot continue rap anymore.
Which is actually also a huge topic of debate. I think both sides of this conversation have some validity. I mean, if you have especially considering how popular and how revered Eminem is in the rap world, right? So you mess with him, you're going to get you're going to get a significant backlash. So you could say to some degree that um, he was, I won't say bullied out of rock, but so out of rap, I'll say definitely pushed away from writing
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
brings us to the second half of the story, which is MGK is now a rock musician, right? And it is a huge topic, which is, oh my god, MGK has changed genres, has done something completely new, yeah, and like you said, has been bullied out of the rap world into rock. And I just particularly, so I started listening to more MGK through his pop punk music, because personally I love rock. I love listening to early 2000s rock and late 90s stuff as well. I'm really into bands like Blink-182, Good Charlotte, Green Day, a lot of those kind of bands, even artists like Avril Lavigne, Paramore. So like those, some of that nostalgia is captured in his latest music, which really interested me. And then like slowly I started listening to his older rap as well. But yeah, let's pick up this conversation and I guess jump into the question of why on earth is MGK so hated for his switch of genres, and in general. What do you think, Robin?
No, I genuinely don't understand it. Like in the sense of what's wrong with experimenting? Like you sort of firstly, like this is not even 100% truth. Like for example, he has this album called Lockdown Sessions, which came out in 2021, where all the three tracks in it are still rap. So it's not like he's stopped making rap tracks. If you listen to Tickets to Your Downfall, there's this track called My Ex's Best Friend, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
It is not entirely punk rock. It has some trap elements in it that's still like sort of there. And in general also, MGK has had like tracks even in the past, before this whole Eminem feud even happened, wherein like there has been like guitar related stuff.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's not like full scale uh like just hip hop. And like if
Absolutely. It is actually interesting. I can name songs like before Tickets to My Downfall where there is like considerable use of guitar. And so it starts, in fact, it starts even with, so I mentioned at the beginning that Alice in Wonderland was his quote unquote national debut. Like, this is a song that was played across the country. and like which is what got him attention in the first place, that has guitars in it, right? You have songs like Sex Drive from his 2019 album, which has some strong electronic elements, but also has guitars. Save Me from his first album, Lace Up, the first track, has rhythm guitars, has electric guitars. So there's so many songs where he's actually, experimented with rock. In fact, in his 2019, I mentioned before, he has also collaborated with Travis Barker, and so in his 2019 album, I think the song is called I Think I'm Okay. That song also has significant rock elements, and so to say, I think I agree with you, Robin, to say that this genre switch is completely abrupt, and like he shouldn't be writing rock music, is a bit uncalled for. I think there's definitely been evidence of his versatility in terms of different genres from the start. And that's actually interesting point. Another interesting point, which is if you look across his hip hop career, all of his music has considerable production value, be it percussion, orchestral elements, be it piano, Rhodes, all kinds of stuff you'll find. And even in Mainstream Sellout, while it is primarily a pop punk album, you will see small little trinkets of cool things, like cool sonic things, random bits of banter in between songs, some
Yeah, I
acoustic
like
guitar.
that.
I genuinely thought that was interesting. So I really
Yeah.
am. So and this sort of brings up the whole conversation of, okay, is saying that MGK should not be in rock, is that a purist's perspective? Like, is it coming mainly from rock purists who only listen to Blink 182 or only revere the greats, Nirvana, all these 90s bands and early 2000s bands that define the scene? Is it, do you think it's coming from that, or do you think it's a general opinion? Because I mean, keep in mind that this he has sold, like, most of his albums, aside from I think the 2018 and 2019 ones, they have gone gold on in terms of sales, and even the current albums are doing quite well. So let's just keep that in mind. Yeah, what do you think, Robin?
Yeah, well, some of it sounds like, I mean, okay, I don't want to like paint everyone with the same brush, but at least some people out of those who are like, opposing like his newfound genre, like, not even newfound actually. Newfound is the wrong word, as we just established.
Yeah,
He has been dabbling in this genre for a while.
exactly.
So like, yeah, just his sudden like not even sudden, but like, now he's doing more punk rock stuff. I don't know. I like, even when I went through some criticism videos on him,
Yeah, yeah.
and like they're like, they say things like, oh, he still has like 2 million people who like listen to his tracks. So that just goes on to show that nowadays people don't listen to tracks for their quality. Like, if there's some personality who's big enough, then that's good enough for people to hit play. And I think that's quite a reductionist
I was
opinion.
just about to say the same thing. That sounds a bit reductionist. I mean, again, keep in mind, I listen to a variety of, both of us listen to a variety of artists. You listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan, you've listened to Jimi Hendrix, a lot of, like, these are artists and like guitarists specifically who are revered, right? John Mayer,
Yeah.
John Mayer, Polyphia, Periphery, all these very technical bands who are revered for their guitar playing. We listen to these, but we also have, like, both of us are on the same page. Like, both of us really like the music that MGK is making. So I don't think that's a fair. That is a very reductionistic, perspective. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and also and I think this would be eventually. I would like, since I remember like when we were talking about it, you even said that there's so much to talk about even in the production, the production side of things, which I think we should like briefly get into with MGK. But like besides that, also I feel like, I don't know, I just like his stuff. I
Yeah,
I I don't get it. Like,
I think I'm on a similar page.
yeah,
But just to clarify, both of us have gone through pretty much the same sort of criticism videos and stuff. Some also appreciative, articles and videos as well. And from what I've seen at least, and Robin, you can just bounce your ideas off as well if you think of
yeah,
something. But essentially, one of the key reasons why people don't like MGK and his music is, well, it's kind of there seems to be some kind of disconnect between MGK the musician and MGK the personality. There seems to be some disconnect. So as we've seen with oh, we completely forgot to mention his beef with Cory Taylor, which is also a very very relevant thing. Just before we get into talking about his personality, I think we should quickly address this. Robin, would you like to go
Yeah,
over?
yeah. There's not much to say here, honestly. So Corey Taylor, who is popularly known as Slipknot, uh, so like basically they were going to collaborate on a track, which is actually quite cool given the fact that like this is also something that kind of bashes on the other people who say that MGK is not an artist worth his metal. Like if he wasn't, then such big artists wouldn't take him seriously. But like he has collaborations with some big artists. But yeah, coming back to the point, he was going to for tickets to my downfall only, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
One of the tracks was going to be with Slipknot, and they were like bouncing off ideas, via email. And I think here's what happens: like Slipknot shares something, and MGK is like, "That's cool and all, but here are some changes that I would like to see." So it was like a not in a mean spirited way, just like in a constructive criticism kind of way, I guess.
Yeah.
But Slipknot did not take that nicely. He was, I don't know. I think he was probably looking at MGK from the point of view as this newbie is trying to teach me, an old timer,
Yeah.
how to do things. So I don't want to. I will not choose to be disrespected this way. So but then he did not. He was not rude about it. He just in a very civil way just called off the collaboration. He's like, I don't want to work on this anymore. And he was very polite about it, but like it was still very abrupt, and MGK did not take that nicely. So then what he started doing was in his shows and stuff, he started sort of
Calling out
yeah
Corey Taylor. Yeah, so Corey
yeah
Taylor, who's the frontman of Slipknot, the band, I think he also kind of dished back at MGK in an interview, right? And then MGK continued to sort of, on stage. I think in one concert he called, he made an indirect reference, but he's like, I'm so glad I'm not a bunch, I'm not an old man wearing a mask.
yeah yeah
It was a 50-year-old man wearing a mask and playing
yeah
something along those lines, which of course really riled up fans of Slipknot. So yeah, I think so. Given
Corey Taylor also said something on the lines of the same controversy that we talked about.
Yeah.
Even Corey Taylor was like, and there are some people who sort of when the genre that they started off with it doesn't work out, then they sort of switch to rock, and they think that they can become like they can be taken seriously in this genre. So like it's kind of like a dig at, and then he said, and we all know who we are talking about. I guess he said something on those lines. So it was
Yeah.
like a tongue-in-cheek remark
Exactly
against MGK.
MGK.
Yeah.
So now that we've sort of painted that, so given both the major controversies, the one with the beef with Eminem and also with Corey Taylor from Slipknot, one of the criticisms that a lot of people, so particularly fans of rock music and people who've just been following the drama, and maybe even fans of Eminem who are on Eminem's side and who just wanted to shout at MGK, what they say is that this personality of MGK as like a public figure is just really, he's kind of, with the whole genre change, he's kind of a poser. And by poser I mean he's, it's the music he's making is not original. He's trying to imitate old bands. He essentially, the conclusion of that is, oh, he sucks as a musician, which I don't think is too really true. The second one is, I mean, and this is something I've noticed, an observation, which is, he's with all this controversy, he seems to react. He's been sort of taking it out on a public platform. Even with the Eminem beef in I think 2018, he got invited to a show, and on stage he took a photo where he tricked the entire audience into putting up the middle finger. There's a bit of a debate about what actually transpired, but this is kind of this is one narrative that is there. And then of course with Corey Taylor, we just spoke about the onstage situation, right? So he is reacting to this, and it kind of gives off the impression of, and with, of course, along with his music, his personality comes off as, oh, I'm the party guy who's, I'm the young party teen who's the best and who doesn't really care, right? And that seems to be a point of annoyance with a lot of rock fans, a lot of people listening to his music. So like I said, there's a disconnect between MGK, the musician, and Colson Baker. And rather, there is a disconnect between Machine Gun Kelly, the personality, and Colson Baker, the person behind, you know, behind the music. So I think that's a really, really, really key thing to keep in mind. And sort of to go on, and maybe this is where you could pitch in a bit more, Robin, is so we were talking about this off podcast, and we were talking about how, I mean, MGK has not had exactly the best childhood, right? He's gone through some trauma,
Yeah.
he's had some stuff, so a lot of that feeds into his music. And I can say for a fact that the highlight of his music is the content. Like, he talks a lot about his, his parents and how he grew up without them. His mother left at the age of 9. His father wasn't around. He has he fell into the trap of consuming a lot of narcotics and was bullied in school, and had a lot of personal trauma, and that's influenced his music. And you can see that clearly, not even just in the two new albums, even like right from the beginning, from the first album Lace Up, there are songs talking about his childhood and his upbringing. And I think in that sense, I really respect like the honesty that's there in his music. But yeah, this obviously, I mean, when you put and Robin, I guess you're the psychologist student. You can tell me, you can pitch it and give a bit more perspective on this. But I mean, that level of, I mean, trauma definitely feeds into your music and into your personality. I mean, how you react in situations and present yourself as a public figure. So what do you think about the connection between MGK's childhood and his bratty personality on camera, or in the limelight?
Yeah, right off the bat, I'm not like qualified to give any psycho like opinions on. I'm still a psychologist in training or whatever. But like
That's okay.
in general, yeah. But in general, I actually like before I comment on anything related to how his trauma transpires into his music. I actually wanted to talk about one of his tracks. It's actually one of my favorite tracks of his, and it's a hip hop track. Even though I don't really listen to rap tracks that much in general, this one track I really really like. It's called "Story of the Stairs,"
Yeah.
and like that I think that track gives like the best sort of summation of like what went through in his childhood, starting from how he felt cheated by his mom, like when he found his mom sleeping with some other person, and like he sort of in a fit of rage, like sort of shoots the like takes a shotgun and like shoots up the vehicle of the person that his mom was sleeping with, his biological mom was sleeping with. Then he gets arrested for it. Then his dad also doesn't take his side. The only person that like he loved in his life, that his aunt and his grandma, like his grandma passes away, his aunt gets cancer, and like in school things are not good, as you had already pointed out. Like
Yeah.
there's just so much that is going on. And then like he's a single father after a point, and he also is like determined to make sure that his daughter does not have to go through the same childhood that he has gone through. But then there are some other tracks where he also talks about how like because of his career he has not been able to pay that much attention to his daughter sometimes, and how bad he feels about it. So like there's such heartfelt and like original in that sense tracks, like which talks about his personal life, even in one of his latest albums, which is the one that came, Pandemic Sessions. What was it called?
Lockdown Sessions, I think it was called. Yeah.
Lockdown Sessions, sorry, yeah, Lockdown Sessions. Even in that, like his struggles with drug abuse is talked about in detail, which is and yeah, like just agreeing to Aditya's the point that Aditya made before, that like I genuinely also like the fact that how he sort of brings out, like it's not about what sells always, like with him. It's not about what the audience wants to hear. It's about his personal expression of whatever he wants to express and how he wants to express it. And I think that's admirable in any artist, not just any music
Yeah,
artist, but just in any artist. Art should be about
absolutely. Yeah,
expression.
exactly. And I think that's the thing, right? I think it's just honest. And I mean, think about it, right? You could easily write more, whatever, generally palatable music, but you choose to talk about your past. And I mean, not to mention the lyrics and the tone is also quite self-deprecating in some sense. Like, he does talk about mistakes he's made, even in his latest album. I think there's a song called "God Save Me." So I mean, I don't think you write songs like that without some sense of, having reflected over your life and acknowledging some mistakes you made. Which again, I think it brings us back to the point of there is a disconnect between the personality he is on camera, and I agree. I think, you know, the criticism around him acting like, a teenager who's bratty and who doesn't care, and who's just, yeah, who doesn't really, is not very warm. I think that's something that people maybe they take more offense, or more, they're more annoyed by that than maybe particularly the music. And because he's a musician, the music kind of gets roped into that. But yeah, I think,
And then there's the whole cult phenomenon also, to an extent, like probably like in this, I mean, it's not an exact parallel, but like, in the same way how probably Justin Bieber was hated on in the beginning.
exactly,
And like
yeah.
one, or like some artists like Nickelback was hated on.
Huh,
Like,
there is some
when
element
like
of
you
that,
hear some
absolutely.
people, yeah, some people say that they don't like it, and then like it just becomes cool to
Cool to, like,
dislike a
I
particular
I am
artist.
guilty of this. I actually am guilty of, like, I didn't listen to Justin Bieber much growing up, but I definitely was on
Likewise,
board.
like,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah, Justin Bieber. I still make jokes about Justin Bieber. Of course, it's more
It's,
funny now because I don't mean it as seriously. But back then, it was kind of not a cult, but yeah, it was a
no,
pretty,
it was fashionable
it
to
was a
hate on
trend
Baby.
to hate.
That what does
Yeah,
that track? Is the track called Baby, or is it something else? Is
baby,
the
yeah,
track called
baby,
Baby? Yeah,
baby.
yeah, it is called Baby, right? Yeah,
It is
yeah.
called
It was
baby.
fashionable to hate on it,
Yeah.
and it is one of the most disliked videos on YouTube. So that is saying something,
Yeah. So,
like as to how fashionable it was to hate on it.
yeah, but I definitely
Yeah,
think
I've also jumped on that. I'm also guilty of jumping on that bandwagon back then.
I think that really does exist to some degree, and I think there is that element of, oh wait, he's just doing pop punk. There's nothing new about that. There's nothing original about that. Well, I have a counter argument to this, which is rap music and pop music. I don't think are. I mean, of course, they're very different genres, but they're also similar in one way, which is both are kind of like a template upon which you tend to speak or sing, right?
Yeah.
Neither of these genres I think are as, technically focused as, progressive rock or jazz or classical are as genres, right? The focus here, I think, even with pop punk, you know, it was a representation. It was teenage life in the 1990s and early 2000s put in, in song format, and it was the message. It was the feel of being a teenager in that era that really caught as really what I mean, at least for me. I mean, that's what really, made it so attractive. And I think it's the same thing. And I think in that sense, like, MGK shifting from rap to pop punk, it just makes sense. It is another template. Yes, the chords are the same, and yeah, we've heard the same guitars 100 times, but the point is, you pay attention here. You pay attention to what MGK is saying. I feel, and less, less focus goes to the music specifically, and not to mention, again, production wise, and the production value of all this, I particularly like. I do like it. The guitars are really well mixed, and all of the small little trinkets he adds in between are tasteful, I do think. So yeah, I think, to kind of, I guess, summarize everything, it's just, it seems musically he is heading in a nice direction, I think, but his behavior and his personality, is just very bratty and very, it's controversial, and it's not, some of the things he's done and said is not tasteful at all. I completely agree. And I think people, as much as, you can be, I mean, you can be revered for being a good musician, but if your public personality isn't very likable, then people are going to say bad things about you, and constantly criticize your work. So
And like maybe, and this is just purely a speculation, but like maybe, given the fact that like he has had such a traumatic childhood experience where like he has never felt like probably never made to feel safe. There was never like this notion of stability. And then like now he has like a platform to like, sort of uh, speak. Like, he in his music also he makes and like, make hints at how his revenge is being successful. Like his
Yeah.
revenge towards everyone who has wronged him in the past is just being successful. And like, so like, there is this element of spite that is also there with his, like, mixed in there somewhere with his motivation towards, but again, speculation, okay, but like,
No, I think
probably
that's a
is,
valid
yeah.
interpretation. Just definitely
And
the the bratty behavior does sort of come from
and yeah,
his
that's
background.
yeah, that's probably like more like, I don't even want to like call it exactly like bratty behavior. Probably it's more about him feeling threatened in some way, that like,
Maybe, yeah.
any form of criticism is like, sort of to like, like a personal if any form of criticism is taken like a personal attack, then that is probably coming from a place of, insecurity,
Yeah, and pain.
which given his traumatic childhood is probably uh, yeah, like it kind of makes sense to
It
me,
does make sense, and I think he also openly talks about it in his music, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so
Hey, a little slightly off tangent, but like, you keep talking about this track from mainstream sellout only, I think.
yeah,
Nine Lives.
9 Lives, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I, I, I like, could you like explain what you liked about it, like liked about that track? I mean, even I've heard that track. I really like how it,
I'm just gonna
like how the
quickly look up
instrumentation and
the
yeah.
no, it was a yeah, because it's I like the song with the music as much as well as the lyrics also. I'm just gonna quickly search up. Oh, my keyboard's not working. 1 second. I hate when tech. 9 Lives, MGK, cat food. The internet is weird, man. 9 Lives,
Oh
MGK.
yeah, what? What? 1 second. Cat's supposed to have 10 lives or 9 lives,
Nine,
seven
exactly,
lives.
yeah, yeah. So nine. It's a yeah. Cats are supposed to have 9 lives, right? So basically, the lyrics are blow some smoke up to the gods. We're doing this. Also. Oh no, that's the intro. Sorry, never mind. No, the starting lyrics are live 9 lives, so I guess I got none left. Spend mine effed up running down sunset. So and it's talking about his anxiety, and it's like I guess 9 lives meaning chances, chances to make things right. And he's talked about going through therapy. He's talked about parties he's been to, the kind of lifestyle he's led, and how it's built up anxiety, and how he feels like he's not really changed much, and he's still struggling. So yeah, I just particularly I relate with this song and some of the other ones on this album and the previous one, just because he talks about you see an insecure person behind all of the whatever internet, no, sorry, behind all of the public persona, and yeah, all of that. So I think that's something I connected with. Like I said before, this his lyrics are honest. I do not see. Some people have said that he does tend to exaggerate a bit. Like he does talk about, especially the songs where it's the ones that are more of the party kind, or the not party kind, but yeah, the uh, playboy type, I guess is the word for it. Those songs do tend to sound, I guess, a bit more exaggerated. But this again, these two albums specifically, and the songs that specifically address his personal life, I think those are quite honest sounding, and I respect that. So yeah, that is Machine Gun Kelly.
Yep.
Wow, this has been a fun conversation. I really enjoyed it. I think
Likewise.
I
Yeah.
think, I think it's just if I can add one more thing, I think it's definitely important to consider the person connected to the music, to the art, right? But I feel like at the same time, you know, obviously, I guess like we've talked about, MGK has done some very, very uncool things, but at the same time, I mean, if you just like just for a second, if you just sort of split, the public figure from the actual person, and then I think from that perspective the music is a lot more honest. So yeah, this has been
Basically, before you start throwing eggs at us, you would just
yeah,
like to. It's a humble suggestion to like probably revisit his tracks with, not to suggest that anyone had a closed mind in the first place, but
yeah,
like if you're surrounded by these conversations around like MGK being hated, then probably you could give it like a second shot. I mean, like for example, such great artists like John Mayer, like in the early stages of his life, also got like this kind of hate, but like his tracks are phenomenal. So maybe y'all would find something that in MGK's collection also, wherein y'all would something that y'all would resonate with.
Exactly.
That's what we think about this.
But yeah, of course, these are just our opinions. We'd be very curious to hear what you all think about all of this. Do feel free to. Is there a comment section on Spotify? I don't think there is. Maybe we should.
No.
Maybe we'll put up a poll. I think that's something we can try doing. I'll see if I can.
What
put up.
Spotify can do that?
Yeah, I don't know. See, this is Robin. This is why you listen to podcasts. You learn. Yeah.
Hey, dude. Like, I mean, I have listened to some podcasts, but I've never seen this.
See, present tense, Robin. You have to listen to podcasts.
Acha,
Past
okay.
tense and all not gonna work. No.
yeah. Gotta admit, like my podcast listening has not been up to the mark at present.
Disgrace you are. Anyway. Yeah. On that note, I think it's time to close up this episode. Thank you so much.
What? On that note, what?
Yes.
Calling me a disgrace and ending it on that note.
Yes, on that note. You have homework, Robin. Yeah, no, this has been a really fun episode. We really enjoyed breaking this down. This has been a topic we've been planning, I think, for a little over a week plus. I think 2 weeks, yeah. And we really enjoyed sort of going into the controversy. It was really fun to listen to his music and just sort of understand what all the fuss is about. Thanks.
I hope to get in your good graces by listening to more podcasts before the next episode.
Yeah,
airs.
you better, man. Yeah, so thanks so much for tuning in to Project Khichdi. We'll be back with more episodes soon. And don't forget to follow, you can't say, no, you can.
Hey, dude, this is not YouTube, okay? No like, subscribe,
Hey, I
business is
keep
going to work here.
forgetting. Sorry. Yeah, you can first follow the podcast, share it with your friends, and I guess we'll share some contact info so you can give us some feedback and your thoughts.
Hey, let's put it on we should have some email, right? So we can put it on
I'll
Spotify description.
Okay, in the description, I will share maybe an email address or something you can contact for feedback. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. This has been really fun. See you next time. Bye-bye.